It's a rainy day here in Tokyo, which is gonna make Sanja Matsuri a fun little festival for so many people. But I want to start today's live stream with a bit of a story. The story of Tokyo Drew. And I guess how we met and all that. This entire live stream is dedicated to this old friend, and as I tell this story, I will share with you why. So, right now we are in the back streets of Asakusa. Now, Sanja Matsuri itself will really start to kick off between 10 and 12. And there will be, I'm sure, plenty of other streamers around for you to see that section of the live stream. But before things get crazy, before it gets crowded, I had a lot I wanted to share with you guys. So we're doing the Tokyo Lens thing, and we're coming out nice and early to see what the city looks like before the craziness starts. So when I was a significantly smaller creator on the main channel, Tokyo Lens, I would say somewhere around 10, maybe 15,000 subscribers. One day a gentleman named Tokyo Drew popped into my comments and said, "Hey, I'm a creator as well. I do live streaming here in Japan. Keep up the great work." Something along those lines. And then he popped in again. And like so many of you, he popped in again and again and again. And video after video, stream after stream, Drew would be there. And like I've done with many of you, you kind of feel, you build this bond. This person that you look forward to their comment every week, you get to chat with them a little bit on video release, we get to know each other. Many of you have been there. And as time went on, I started to do certain things. Like I started to share when and where I would be doing live shamisen performances, which if you've been following along, you'll know that I don't play shamisen currently. But when I was doing live shamisen performances, Drew would show up. He would show up for these performances and come and watch me play live. And I'm pretty sure one of the first times we've ever met, he simply showed up to one of my shamisen performances, supported, was there, and a bunch of us afterwards went out and grabbed some drinks. And that's how I first got to meet Tokyo Drew. As time went on, I would hold more shamisen performances and more events. And sure enough, Drew would show up. In fact, we kind of built a little bit of a habit. You see, one of the reasons that I'm streaming at Sanja Matsuri today is this is an absolute hat tip to Drew. One of the first big live streams that I did where we hung out afterwards was here in Sanja Matsuri. And it kind of became our yearly tradition. I would do my Sanja Matsuri live stream. I would meet up with Drew. We had kind of a standing date, if you will, to get together every single year. Now, Drew and I did not hang out constantly. It wasn't like we got together once a month. But this Sanja Matsuri standing date that we had held strong any year that Sanja happened, and that we were both physically available and in the space. And year after year, this built a bit of a bond with Drew. I think something like 7 years running. And so today I wanted to talk about that, how I met Drew, and why I'm out here in the back streets of Asakusa for this live stream. See, Drew is a very simple and pure individual. He loved creating content. He loved just living life. And last week, exactly 1 week before Sanja Matsuri, at the age of 57, we lost Drew. And it had been coming for some time, but it was also very sudden. You see, Drew had gone through chemo and done all of that, and then in the very end, the cancer spread to his brain, and there's no chemo for that. And so this is going to be the first year since the lifting of the pandemic that I won't be getting together with Drew after my stream. And so I wanted to make it a great stream, somewhere we can check out these little huts here where they're setting up for the festival, and just pay absolute tribute to a perpetually positive person who just really enjoyed what he did. And so recently, about 2 days ago, I spent quite a bit of time on the phone with Drew's wife, and she shared the stories of the final days and weeks. And Drew being Drew, he went into those final days and weeks with hope and positivity. The last time that Drew and I actually got to hang out was at Sanja Matsuri last year. I had just come back from my 1 million adventure. We did some 12 days? Wow, if I think about it that way, that was 1 year ago already. Time absolutely flies. We did 12 days straight of live streams and videos, traveling across some of the most beautiful and hidden parts of Japan to celebrate the main channel hitting 1 million subscribers. And on the final day, Sherry had just moved to Tokyo, and we decided to do our final big wrap-up live stream at Sanja Matsuri. And we'll head down this way because one of our favorite spots was always right down here. And when that live stream wrapped up, as every year, got together with Drew. We held to our tradition. And last year, I was actually able to introduce Drew to Sherry as well. It was her first time to meet him. We enjoyed a little time together here in Asakusa. And actually the image in the thumbnail is from that day, from Drew and I's hangout at last year's Sanja Matsuri. Now, I don't want this live stream to be some dark, sad condolences, because that's not the way Drew lived. In fact, I've given Drew a shout out in so many live streams over the past couple of years that I know a lot of you have actually found and gone out and checked out his channel and his streams and everything. And you will know that Drew did everything with that fantastic, keep it real Drew energy. And so I want to bring that energy into our stream today. Chris Yamagata in here, giving a super chat to raise a drink for Drew. Thank you so much. I was pretty sure that I turned monetization off for this stream, but what I will say is, Chris, thank you so much for that. Today, everybody, instead of super chats, I've put a GoFundMe for Drew's family in the description box. While any super chats that come in will get passed there, also it would be so much, I think, really positive, supportive, and good for their emotional and mental state if they saw just people flooding into the GoFundMe to support during this time. It's a very, very difficult time for his wife. And as you can imagine, there are a lot of expenses and costs that have accrued throughout his treatment over the past couple of years and with his passing. So thank you, Joe Schmo, for linking that right in the chat. This was always one of Drew and I's favorite spots in the festival right here, because this is where you'll get full body tattoos and really aggressive Yakuza feel that they climb up on the Mikoshi and they ride it, and it's just such an incredible energy. So just double checking, Joe Schmo, does the link in the description box work? I hope it does. If it doesn't, I will fix it after, or we'll just keep posting it throughout the stream so that people have access to it. But seeing as this was one of our favorite festivals every single year, and we would always get together and make the best of it, that is what I want to do this year. One of the lovely things about Sanja is what it does for the internet connection, just with so many people in one space. And GB Crush saying the GoFundMe works. It took me to the page earlier. Thank you so much for checking that. Also, typically, you guys know that I would usually, if it's raining, I'm just going to avoid the stream. It is just too many things to carry in. I got, both hands full. I got this hand full with an umbrella, the other hand full with the camera. But during last year's 1 million 12-day adventure where we traveled 1 million seconds across Japan, we had a couple live streams that were absolutely beautiful in the rain. So I have decided to go with this and just make the best of it. Now, let me just get around these gentlemen here. I will say right now that, I think somewhere around 6 months to a year ago, maybe more, everybody to go find other streamers who are streaming around the same time and flood them with love from Tokyo Lens. And people were like, oh, Drew's streaming right now. And I was like, definitely go check out Drew. And afterwards, I went to Drew's chat and was like, hey, and he's like, extra set of people over. And he was really excited about it. And when I spoke to his absolutely lovely wife the other day, and she was talking about how Drew remembered these things. Drew talked about his friends and the people that he cared about. And it's just the type of person that he was, that perpetual positive energy, that perpetual hope. Just the simple fact that Drew found something that he truly loved and enjoyed and stuck with it. You see, most people will inevitably give up on something like YouTube because it takes much more time and mental effort than you would think it does. You've got to plan out when and where you're going to be. You've got to make thumbnails for that. You've got to consider what you're going to talk about while you're there. If you're making other videos and content, you've got to plan all that out. You've got to do the editing. You've got to deal with the positive and the negative. You've got to build your community. And that is one thing that I want to give a huge hat tip to Drew for. You see, we have a very beautiful community here. And I attribute a lot of that to Drew and people like Drew. Because, as I said at the beginning of this, when I was a very small creator with, only 10, 15,000 subscribers, Drew already treated me like I had 1 million subs. That was one thing that was always amazing. It puts some faith in you, makes you feel like, wow, maybe I can do this. And especially in the early days of content creation, every single creator goes through a time where they wonder if it's worth continuing. They wonder if it's worth the late nights and the early mornings and everything that comes along with it. And Drew showed me that, oh yeah, there are people out there who really, it has an impact on them. And Drew constantly shared that, being able to see somebody go from, tiny creator of only a couple thousand to, at that time, getting to like 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 was really inspiring for him. And I said, the only thing you've got to do is just stick with it. And he did. And he was able to do that because he genuinely loved what he did. But along the way, building that bond set the stage for me to build bonds with so many other people, including so many of you watching here today. In fact, in about a week, actually exactly 1 week, I am going to be in North Carolina at Animazement, and you'll see a whole bunch of people putting up their hands in the chat right now who know that we are going to get together and hang out at Animazement, because that is what we do every single year. And each and every one of these has been a very similar case. We met through the comments, we got to know each other over time. They would show up at events, they would show up at different things that we do, and we just got to know each other. So many of you I've had over to the studio. We've managed to build this incredible community over on Patreon, and a lot of this just came from that energy born of Drew, that you can connect with people that you meet in your community and build incredible memories and experiences. So I like to reflect and think that a lot of this and what we have right here is made very much possible because of Drew and people like Drew who built that culture early on. There are just certain people that you want to reply to. And when that happens early on in the creative stages, it gives you the motivation to continue. It gives you the motivation to connect with more people. And if anything, now I've gotten to the point where the schedule has gotten so busy, because I'd say 2 to 3 hours of any given day is just replying to different messages and chatting with different people. The people we've met in our videos along the way as well, many of them has stayed along as long-term friends and acquaintances. Shibu, the minimalist, and Kana, the truck driver, Yotan out in the abandoned school, and so many more are semi-regular parts of my life now. And when it's only 3 or 4, it's not that bad, but when that all adds up to 5, 10, 20, 50, it takes time, but it's time well spent. And so later on today, this area here is going to open up. And there's all the Matsuri shops where you can get your Matsuri gear and clothing and everything like that. So this is called Hisago Dori, or Hisago Street. And it's one of the best places to grab Matsuri stuff when you are coming out to a festival in Asakusa. Now, there's something about Drew that made him and I connect a little easier that I haven't shared, that I want to share with you guys. You see, Tokyo Drew was kind of a we were, I wouldn't say, we'll say hometown boys. That's what we'll say. You see, we came from the same area in Canada of Southern Ontario, and our hometowns and homes weren't actually that far. And early on, I had shared the area that I'm from in the YouTube channel, and Drew got really excited and was like, dude, I'm from the same area. We're like two hometown bros out here doing our best in Japan. And he was so incredibly supportive, and that's one thing that I'll always remember about Drew, is just how supportive he was of everyone around him. It feels genuinely good to be able to come out here and enjoy this pre-Sanja atmosphere while reminiscing about a recently lost friend. You know, if I'm being completely honest with you, the first couple days after Drew's passing were shocking and came with their own toughness and waves of emotion. And I, as recently as yesterday, had doubts about whether or not I'd actually be able to pull off this live stream, because every single time I shared these memories, every single time that I reminisced, the emotion would simply get too strong and I wouldn't be able to talk. I would break down a bit, and it just made it too tough. And so even yesterday, as I was setting up this live stream, I had doubts about whether or not I would be able to pull off this stream. But being here, I feel this really positive and hopeful energy, and there's just something about being at Sanja, a festival that we enjoyed so much, and doing this in his memory, that has kind of put a light smile on my face. And so to be out here and get to do this feels like a treat and an absolute pleasure. And so we're gonna explore all these back streets of Asakusa, get a feel for what Sanja Matsuri is like. And Drew and I, within our yearly tradition, there was one thing that we always did. You see, Sanja Matsuri, we would do our live stream, we would get together, we would hang out, and we would always have a beer. And more often than not, that beer would turn into 2 beers, maybe more. In fact, there were years where we drank clear into the night. The early years of Sanja Matsuri, when the channel was smaller and schedule restrictions weren't so tight, Drew and I would get together, we would meet after the live stream or whatever. I did a live stream a couple years back with a good friend creator, currently Hannah, and we went around Sanja Matsuri. And when the live stream wrapped up, met up with Drew and we grabbed our beer. And the beauty of it is, you see, I don't particularly come from any form of wealth. I am just some random guy who managed to make it to Japan and build something out of nothing. And so our tradition consisted of, you know, there's people in the comments asking if we would go to the hub or something, and we were not that fancy. I did not have the budget at the time to go out to a bar and pay $7-8 for a beer. So Drew and I would always grab a beer from the convenience store and do street beers. You guys, in Japan, you can do street beers. And there's always just something neat, especially as a Canadian, about being able to have a street beer and not get arrested for having open alcohol on the streets. Does anybody else come to Japan and just have a street drink just because they can? I feel like it's got to be so many people. In whatever country you're from, is open alcohol out in public or inebriation in public, is that illegal or no? Because that is very much not allowed in Canada. So coming to Japan and having a street beer always just felt like such a wild thing to me. And Drew and I really enjoyed our kombini beers together. And so every single beer that Drew and I ever had together was purchased at a convenience store, and almost every single beer that we ever drank together was drank on the street. It's simple, it's not fancy, and it's a tradition that we absolutely loved. So today, within this live stream, despite the rain, I have no idea where the third hand is gonna come from, where, you know, I've got one hand on this and one hand on the camera. So, you know, maybe we can get a straw and I can just tuck the beer into my shirt and then we can just sip it as we go along. That sounds like it'll work. Probably won't work, but we'll give it a try. Oh. And right now we have come out to Sensoji Temple area. And man, they've really changed this space up. They've got this grass here, which I'm guessing is probably Jinko Shiba. AstroTurf is the word I'm looking for. And it's actually properly done too. When you lay AstroTurf, you've got to lay little black pieces of rubber inside of it to help maintain like proper spacing and so it doesn't go completely flat. I've never done that with the AstroTurf on my studio balcony because I just didn't want to have to deal with the cleanup of a whole bunch of rubber. So instead, I just brush it like once or twice a week. And here we are at Sensoji Temple right here. Yeah, today would be a fantastic day to have a second hand and some help. So for those of you over on the Patreon side, you'll know that I recently brought on a second hand, a sidekick, if you will. And his name is Max. And Max has been sharing a lot of like behind the scenes posts on Patreon about the absolute craziness, about the misadventures, the things we do, places we go, things learned along the way. And Max yesterday asked if he could put together a post talking about like what he's seen with me over the past week with Drew. Because we lost Drew exactly 1 week ago, last Saturday. I low-key actually kind of avoid social media when I can. I'll post, but I try not to consume too much because I like to kind of come up with my own ideas and I don't want to be that guy constantly glued to his social media. And ooh, I always love these. Oh, it's so distracting. Okay, no, keep walking. And I was sitting down for lunch when I got the news of Drew, and I kind of just took some time to myself. I was originally not going to post my video last Sunday, but after a bit of thought and chat, I realized that Drew 100% would be like, dude, gotta keep it real. Gotta post that, gotta keep things going. And so I posted, and Monday I met up with Max at the studio and we chatted, and I shared a lot of what I've shared with you guys today about how Drew and I met and the times we had together. And kind of the week just continued in that theme. And yesterday Max said, dude, can I put together a bit of a post for Patreon to talk about what this week has been like? And I said, absolutely, I would love that. So, for anybody wondering, Max is from the UK. Is absolutely delightful, and we'll be seeing a lot more posts and info from him as things move forward. And yep, Drew is always telling us to keep it real. You know, one of the very first times that Drew and I ever hung out, I had done a shamisen performance, which if you're coming to Sanja Matsuri, this stage over here, you have potential to catch some incredible Japanese performances that go well into nighttime. The rain should finish around 5 or 6 p.m. today. And in the evening, there's usually incredible performances like taiko and shamisen and more held at this stage here, right behind Sensoji Temple. So I highly recommend anybody to check it out. Also, Joe Schmo, thank you so much for once again sharing the GoFundMe to support Drew's family. But Drew and I had done a performance at a place called Kato Shamisen, and I just put my foot in a huge puddle of water. So now my right foot is very sloshy. We get to enjoy sloshy foot for the rest of the live stream. It's just part of the adventure. And I had done this shamisen performance. I think it was one of my first ever stage performances. I was excited and nervous. The Yoshida brothers, the older of the two Yoshida brothers who was training me, came out to watch the performance. And sure enough, when the performance wrapped, and I stepped outside, Drew was standing right there, and he was like, dude, that was fantastic. I'm really glad I came. And he was like, if you got time, I'd love to go grab a beer. And that's exactly what we did. We grabbed our Kombini street beer, and we wandered the area, just exploring. And wow, there's so much more rain than I expected. Just exploring and getting to know each other. And then I'd say a year or two later, I got the honor of getting invited to go out to play shamisen at the Mitama Matsuri. And there's a big stage there during Mitama Matsuri. And that's an absolutely massive honor to have the opportunity to be able to play at Mitama Matsuri at Yasukuni Jinja. And sure enough, Drew was there. In fact, I've got a video on the main channel of me playing at Mitama Matsuri, and I've even got scenes of Drew in that video coming up to me and chatting afterwards. And sure enough, we grabbed our street beer. And so today, very, very high on the priority list, despite how early in the morning it is for us to grab a street beer in honor of Drew. So we come around the corner here. There's what used to be one of my favorite spots in all of Asakusa. See, I actually, when I first met Drew, I lived in Asakusa. And Drew would often meet me right near my place after Sanja. There's another huge Matsuri or festival store right here. So actually, this is one of the ones that I recommend if you are looking to get festival clothing. The staff here are actually really, really nice and incredibly helpful. So if you know nothing of the festival and what you should wear and whatnot, this is the place that you're gonna want to come. And the staff are incredibly kind and supportive. I cannot recommend it enough. And Kirsten, thank you so much for the linking the video there. Also, this here used to be one of my absolute favorite spots in Asakusa. This was Kiko, the shamisen restaurant run by my good friend Kodai-san. And Kodai-san retired his restaurant, and it now looks like it's been turned into, judging from the menu I see over there, Italian? Interesting, because the inside is incredibly Japanese. So, curious as to how Italian plays in, what they've done with the interior. Oh boy. Get a can of vending machine coffee before the beer. He had to start every stream with coffee. All right, absolutely. If that's how we start the stream, that is how we start the stream. I will do it literally right now. Did he go with, I never caught the stars. I was joined him part way. Did he go with sweetened or black? I'm gonna guess he went with sweetened, but let me know. I'm just gonna check through the chat here. So how is everybody doing today? Where are you watching from? And well, this has Visa tap to pay. I usually use my he went with black. No way. Did he really? Black coffee it is. All right. Well, the cold will go like that, and then we will press the cold icy, and we will. There we are. Now, find a ledge and sit and chat. Cheers, guys. Poured a little out for Drew. Now, while Drew would find a ledge and sit and chat. Oh, I am dropping my umbrella. I do not have enough hands for this. We'll figure it out. While Drew would find a ledge and sit and chat, Drew would also definitely give me heck for not doing things Tokyo Lens style. Which means we will continue to walk, and I'll continue to try and juggle an umbrella, a can of coffee, and a gimbal, and hopefully not die along the way. But also got a lot of the other small community streaming team in here as well, all joining in to say hello. Thank you guys so much. You know, the streamer, especially like the small to mid-channel streamer community in Japan, I've found over the past year or so, is just filled with so many beautiful people. And I appreciate you guys all coming in to support Drew. I need an umbrella hat for sure. Oh. One of the huge positives of Asakusa, though, is that there are a rather large number of covered arcades. And so, if I take a brief break from the coffee and manage it like this, which feels incredibly unstable, we can probably make our way to a covered arcade, which means we would need minimal to no umbrella usage, freeing up an entire hand. So, that is the plan now. We're gonna make our way to the covered arcade we see right in front of us. You have water drops on the lens. I am the lens, the Tokyo lens, and there are water drops all over me, and I have a sloshy foot. I also know what you're getting at, but I do not have a fifth hand, so we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. There we go. We get in here and we're one step closer to hand management, if you will. Now we need to find a bit of a ledge, a bit of a place to put the gimbal, if you will. Duct tape fixes everything. And yes, there's a hub in this neighborhood. It's actually got live jazz music. Okay, I'm gonna put that there. Put the can there for a second. We can close up our umbrella. Shake it out a little. Then I just need to figure out where to hook it onto. I think we might have this figured out. All right. So, hi guys. I originally wasn't gonna, I like this background over here. I originally wasn't going to show any face on this stream, but something tells me that Drew would appreciate it, so a little for Drew, a little for me. The last Saturday night, the night of Drew's passing, I went to the kombini, as you must, grabbed a beer for each of us. One for myself, and one on the curb for my man Drew. And for as long as I can, I think I'm gonna keep those cans in the studio. Set up like a little display rack for them. So this is the Drew way, is it? We sit down, we have ourselves a coffee, have ourselves a chat. We keep it real. It's the way to do it. I'm saying one of these days I'll have a beer at the hub for Drew. Yeah, I gotta keep those cans. I went with the premium, the Yebbies. Ah. Love Sanja Matsuri though. Definitely gonna miss her though. Okay. I think if we go down this way, let me show you. We go down this way, we can do some Shotengai walks. Amazingly, this is actually going to be my first year in a very long time not participating in Sanja Matsuri. You see, the yearly tradition for me since around 2007 has been to join the festival. The very first time that I ever joined it, I joined entirely by accident. I lived way back there, close to our midpoint of the stream near the Yakuza area. And I was taking a bunch of pictures and I was so excited to see the festival. And some gentleman put his hanten, his Matsuri jacket on me and pushed me into the festival. And he's like, go. And that became an addiction. You see, I was just there to check it out, and this guy tossed his hanten on me and was like, go. And the energy and the atmosphere and what it was like to carry the mikoshi and just the whole feel of everything was so incredible. And I'm gonna try to cover the lens so we don't get too much water here. as we walk through this uncovered section. And sure enough, I needed to get back into Sanja. So I spent a couple years building bonds, and eventually I actually joined on the board of a local association. And a lot of that happened through shamisen. I would perform for them, and we would do a whole like shamisen performance every single year. In fact, before I was a creator, there is a kimono shop called Ogawa that I used to sit out front of during Sanja Matsuri every single... I'm gonna let these guys go because they got volume. I used to sit out front of Kimono Ogawa every single year and do shamisen performances. And I would be in full Matsuri gear. And I just fell in love with the festival. It was my absolute favorite. And last year, after the 1 million adventure came, I had to rush back to Tokyo just so I wouldn't miss. I think I got to the parking lot the night before, managed to just get everything, get changed into my Matsuri gear in the morning, and go out and enjoy the festival. But this year, I will not be participating, and it's the first year that like I'm kind of doing that. It's like a small slew of reasons between us. Last year, during the festival, and it wasn't the first time it happened, which is what kind of made it worse, is people are kind of all cramped in together during the festival. And let me dispose of our can here. Lovely. In the back pocket it will go. See, even this is like closed off. It's like, is that a hole for a can? But now I feel like this was the garbage, because you can see a garbage bag in there, but it's been closed off now. There's actually been a ton of issue in Japan lately with garbage and garbage treatment, with the massive influx of tourism. It's been lovely, among other issues. But last year during Sanja Matsuri, to finish the story, because everybody's crammed into such a small space as we carry these mikoshi, it can get pretty aggressive sometimes. And the gentleman in front of me last year was a rather large gentleman. And when I say large, I mean humongous. And stomped on my foot 2 or 3 times in a row, and I didn't realize it till considerably later. But he fractured my foot in the exact same spot it had been fractured previously. See? That's what I mean. No illegal dumping. And so I've spent the last year, the joint for the main connecting 2-foot joint for the big toe on my right foot, because it's now in the exact same spot, been fractured twice, has built up like a ton of cartilage. And I was warned that if it gets stomped on a 3rd year in a row, that it may lead to severe problems, and so I should probably take a break from Sanja this year, which was unfortunate. But all of that's how the 1 million adventure truly ended, everybody. Norm got to Sanja Matsuri, got all dressed into his festival clothes, and then walked away with a fractured foot that he didn't realize was fractured, so continued to walk around on for the remaining 2+ weeks, maybe 3, before the pain got so bad that I finally went and checked it out. And Joe Schmo, thank you so much again for sharing the link to the GoFundMe to support Drew's family. I want to show you guys a special spot. You guys see this spot right here where there's this Taito game station? There's a whole bunch of narrow little alleys and streets over here that I really enjoy. We will walk through them in a moment. But this spot right here is where that photo from the thumbnail with Drew was taken last year. Right here is where our street beer wrapped up. We walked the city. We hit the Taito game station. Another fun little thing we enjoy doing. And we got a photo literally right about here. And the rain hasn't quite stopped. It has let up a bit, but it is still raining enough that if I don't put up the umbrella, the camera will get covered in water. So we will keep the umbrella up for now. But in this, we're gonna need to find ourselves a kombini so we can do a lovely 9 a.m. beer. No way. Oh, okay. So this is also an arcade. And it looks like they've started construction to kind of preserve the building. There's so many of these like really interesting spaces. Like this here, this is Asakusa Rocks. And this used to be this really, really cool space right in here in the bottom. And they kind of rebuilt the building. But this particular spot right here used to have this big open area where they would do stuff like RC car races and stuff like that. And in here you got batting cages as well as a game center on the bottom floor. And then you've got a whole bunch of bars and restaurants over here. And then you've got Hopi Street down there. And this restaurant right here, literally, let me show you this. It's a little play on words. Umasugite. Nice. So it's like we're so sorry. It's how can I translate this into English? So if I do it directly in like the Japanese format, it's like it's too good that we're sorry, but the sorry rolls into becoming the word nice, which is why they use katakana at the end instead of hiragana. So it'd be nice, like that's nice, wonderful, right? Umasugite, like too good, too delicious. Moshiwake nai. Sorry, our apologies. But then the nai turns into nice. And it's such a simple little thing, but I've always enjoyed this. And the atmosphere of this shop is wonderful. I highly recommend, if you can get in, definitely do so. And then there's another little spot over here. This is not the day that you'd want to be a rickshaw driver. Like, absolutely. You know, Sanja is hit with the threat of rain every single year. Every single year. Saying, oh, it's gonna rain. Every single year, everyone's like, oh, you don't want rain during Sanja? Because you really, really don't. Again, for any of the streamers who are going to be coming out and like doing live stream during Sanja, I highly recommend from like, I don't know, in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, when the festival really picks up, that you guys take a look for live streams from Sanja to see just what it's like in the rain. And what? Wait, what? No. ちょっと待って、嘘。What? No. Guys, I am destroyed right now. Right here. No way. The best kisaten, the best cafe in all of Japan was right here. Royal Cafe in Asakusa was one of the best places you could go to. Man, this city, we've talked about it in previous live streams, but this city is going through too much change because they can't keep old buildings, and it's It's damn. So I have, if you guys take a look on the main channel, or if one of the mods can link it, I have a video called The Best Breakfast in Tokyo. And this was back when Sherry was still living in Ehime. She'd come out for a Tokyo visit, and we got to go here to the Royal Cafe, which was classic and beautiful. And when you see the video and you see what it looked like, you'll know exactly what I mean. But one of the things that we've talked about in a lot of recent live streams is how previously buildings could be built right to the edge and right up against each other like this. If you take a look at this, look at the joint between the two buildings here. And they both come right up to the edge. You see that? And that's actually a moderately significant amount of space. Now, this building here was rebuilt and is kind of pushed back a bit, but they did it in a way that you can't really tell. But like if you take a look at these two buildings right here, they're built right up against each other and they come right up to the road. But with new fire code and with so many old buildings having to go down, they now need to leave much bigger gaps between the buildings, and they need to leave a gap in the front so it can't come right up to the road anymore. And so what you end up with is these mismatched buildings that don't really match the space or atmosphere anymore, that are recessed back to kind of assist with fire code and widen the road. And while this whole area had a beautiful retro vibe, the very least they could have done is build a building that matched the atmosphere. Like, it is Asakusa. You guys are like, does anybody disagree with me on this? I'm super curious about that. And if it's going under renovation, cool, but they've got to at least, let me see. Okay, maybe renovation. But like this, if you take a look at the buildings around though, you want, I'm gonna, judging from the sign there, it looks like that sign looks like it may be going under renovation, but at the very least, keep I'm hoping they do something with the facade. It's looking like, if you take a look inside, there's just a giant stack of drywall in there. And so they are very, very much in the early stages of this. Amazingly, really amazingly, let me show you something you almost never see in Japan. You see that right there? You know what that is? That is insulation going into the walls. And if you know anything about Japan at all, you'll know that Japan doesn't typically insulate, which is why Japanese places tend to be severely hot in the summer and severely cold in the winter. More often than not, colder inside than outside. Somehow it is magical. But I'm really hoping that this facade will change and that they'll build something that look a little more like the previous or former Royal Cafe, because this is just ugly. I'm so like, this is, when you look at everything around, like look at this scene right here. Let's give a little bit of context. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. That's what that feels like. I had to vocalize it with music because there's no other way to keep it real enough. Dong. So that's the new name of that building. If you're trying to remember the name of the building, it's just called Dong. And this is Hoppidori. And this is Denpoindori. Oh. Also, for any of you who are coming out to Animazement If you're from the North Carolina area and you're coming out, I am going to be doing my panel, obviously. And we're doing live shamisen workshops as well, where you can build a shamisen and learn how to play. So as we walk down Tempoin Dori, you know, living in Asakusa for well over a decade, it's kind of interesting because not every street has like a memorable name, but there are certain ones that you remember. Like, you know, you go Tempoin Dori down to Hopi Street, and then from Hopi Street you make your way over to Hisago Dori, and these are all like memorable shotengai and spaces, and I really love this space. One of the great things about living on this side of Tokyo versus where I live now is that this side of Tokyo is very flat. Basically all the way from the Sky Tree all the way out to Tokyo Tower, Shinago and beyond is just a completely flat space. Whereas where I live now near Tokyo Tower, it's nothing but hills. And as somebody who likes to skateboard and cycle through the city, that sucks. You ever tried to skateboard up a hill? Blech. It's not a ton of fun. Always tried to learn instruments, always end up just fixing instruments and gear. All right, so speaking of learning instruments, we get into a few more of the back streets here. They're starting to get the mikoshi out. So let's go take kind of an up close peek at one of the portable shrines, the mikoshi here. There we go. So this is going to be the area for their chokai. And this is one of the mikoshi right here. And as you can tell, rain or no rain, they're going for it. And that is what I love about Sanja Matsuri. That and just, honestly, it's 3 days straight. Like, if you've never been to Sanja Matsuri and you haven't caught any of my previous live streams about it, there's just, Asakusa is its own world. Like, you're in Tokyo, but it genuinely feels like you're in a completely different city with its own feel, personality, vibe, and people. And it's spectacular. And that really, you can get the best feel for the, like, sorry, I got distracted by this, because is that something you can control? Like, do they expect the dog to read the sign, or do they expect the owner to, like, what? I have so many questions. Who reads the sign? And Japan, because of over-tourism, is dealing with so many signs all over the place now. That's really ruining the aesthetic. Like, everywhere you look, there's just these signs. No eat, no sit down, no throw away. I don't know why they needed, like no English check. And it's just everywhere. And it's kind of made, the worst place you'll see it is in Kyoto, where there are so many signs, especially for no smoking and no entry, that the city has just become low-key kind of hideous. There's just so many all over the place. You can't enjoy just like the buildings. Like, look at this. Like, they're everywhere. Everywhere you look. Like, I get you're trying to make a point. I understand it. But oh boy, is it hideous. Yeah, I know. And then over here is a shop owned by some old friends of mine. This is Mikado Shamisen shop. I feel like they're probably in there this morning, but I'm not gonna bother them. That's where I bought my first shamisen. And thrift stores in Asakusa, not really, no. Not that kind of area. Guys, I feel like it's almost certainly time to give our hat tip to Drew and find ourselves a konbini beer. At 9 o'clock in the morning. Feels reasonable. It's traditional. You gotta stick with tradition, right? Yeah, that's kind of the other thing. There was a comment like, unless you're an old Japanese dude, just do right by the sign. And yeah, old Japanese dudes follow nobody's rules for anybody. Manners? No thank you. Common decency? Maybe tomorrow. It's just... And we've got another mikoshi going right here. You can see they're using the hammer there. They like literally physically tie the ropes together each time like this.これ全部つけるのってどれぐらい時間かかるんですか？
これ直すか 1,2 時間じゃないですかね。
ありがとうございます。They're saying to put it all together, you're looking at about an hour to 2 hours. They still have one pole on the ground down over there. Usually just see them done, but if you come out early enough in the morning like this, you actually get to see them putting them together. All right. Creating a bit of a traffic jam here. People taking photos. So we'll make our way through here, find our tradition. And there's little kids mikoshi as well. And they're adorable. They're not quite hand sized, but like they're much smaller. All right. So we're gonna head back into the covered arcade area because I feel like that's the only real chance we have at having our konbini beer without getting completely soaked. Huh. Interesting. Most places just are like absolutely no smoking. And here they've like literally got like hours of that is what? That's new. All right. We'll swing back into our... You know, I still have a can of coffee in my back pocket. So that's a thing. And if you take a look at this gentleman's hand and the sandals in there, oh, rain's picking up. A lot of these sandals are just made of like straw, hay, grass. And so a really wet day like this can be tough on them. They also rarely ever make it through a full day. Helmet, bro. There we go. We are covered. And now we'll close that up with our belly button and try and shake it out. And the crowds are slowly starting to hit. So let me see if I can effectively wrap up this umbrella with one hand without accidentally turning off the gimbal. Fun challenges are fun. And we got Sherry in the chat now. How's it going, Sherry? Thank you so much for joining in. Sherry joined last year for Sanja Matsuri for the live stream. That is still up on this channel here. She also made it into the main video on Tokyo Lens of the full adventure. Like if you're looking for just the most hidden and crazy, most beautiful non-tourist jam-packed spots in Japan, like if you want to have a trip that actually feels like Japan with 10 million tourists, 100% check out that video. One of the mods can link that in there. And Sherry was able to join for our street beer last year and meet up with Tokyo Drew. And oh, the rain, oh, and there's a lot of people, so we can't just zip through here at the same speed we did before. There we go. Ooh. There we are. Yeah, we got a little lens wet going on, but is that nope? Which lens is it? Huh? The wide lens is no longer the lens that I thought. It's become kind of moody now. Moody's great. All right, guys, let's find ourselves a convenience store and hold to that yearly tradition of doing the Sanja Matsuri and then having a street beer with Drew. Oh boy, there are just so many more people now. You get to Asakusa early enough and it's basically empty. People just enjoying their time here. And there's our 7-Eleven there. All right, so to regular Drew viewers, Drew and I were always on the fence about what beer to get together. So I was like, oh, should we get this one? Should we try this one? Should we do this? I feel like the signal must have gotten really, really bad in there. Everything just dropped off. There we go. Got beautiful buffering time. Welcome back, everybody. And we're back, yay. All right. Let's see if we can't find a space to temporarily park ourselves. There we are. They go through great lengths to, and I dropped my coffee. There we go. They go through great lengths to ensure that you can't easily park yourself in the covered areas. There you go. So to anybody watching this live or watching this after, again, there's a GoFundMe linked for Drew's family, and any little bit of support helps. So anybody who is willing and able to go out and even drop a few bucks, it would be a huge help to them. But I need to find where I'm gonna have my street beer. We succeeded. This also used to be a really amazing shop, by the way. It was like this discount shop that just had a bunch of really great crap, and it's gone. So that's cool. All right. You know what? I have a wee bit of a plan. I don't know if it'll work, but we'll try. Okay. Well, come out this way. I'll try not to get too much water on the lens. But I think there is going to be our best bet. So, but in order to do that, we are going to need our umbrella. Everything's a little more challenging with less hands. There we go. So if I do, I have dropped you guys. Oh, that did not go well. Oh. Okay, we're trying, we're multitasking. The adventure is real. Okay, let's see. Why is that way? Oh, everything is so wet now. Yep. Okay. We'll turn the gimbal back on. If it turns on. Oh, it's not happy. The gimbal's angry at me. There we go. And then some random oyaji in the background. That's always fun. Here we go. So we get the festival music in the background. Adventure is happening. Everyone's dizzy. I'm sorry. We still have a can in our back pocket, which actually still had coffee in it. So that was lovely. Absolutely lovely. And do we have audio? Did I get water in the mic? Can we hear me? I'm gonna blow on the mic for a second. All right. Do we have audio? The stream says it's registering audio, so I'm gonna guess that we do have audio, and that audio is happening. Fantastic. So this here, this is to our man Drew. Keeping the tradition on a completely empty stomach at 9 a.m. Drew, this is to you, my man. Thanks for making me feel like I had 1 million subs back when I had like 15, 20,000. Thanks for always keeping it real. Thanks for keeping things positive and supporting those around you. And more than anything, thank you for not giving up. So many give up, and you never did. Thanks for always showing up. Thanks for being who you were. Drew, my man, this is to you. Camera up there. I feel like I should wave. Looking back, it was shy of a decade that I got to know Drew. But I can definitely say that life is better for having known him. Our community is better for me having known him. He helped build this like connect with your viewers atmosphere that we have. And to Hiromi, who is watching right now and sending me photos of the stream, thank you. Thank you for taking such good care of him. And as he would say, thank you for always putting up with him. Early on, when Drew first found me, before I had merch or anything like that, I used to sell photo prints and whatnot. And Drew was such a supporter and so big on it that Drew would buy photo prints and Drew would constantly talk about Tokyo Lens, and Drew would say, do you have any idea how sick and tired my wife is of hearing me talk about you? And now that we know each other, the absolute sweetest lady. And that man carried so much love for everybody around him. And so, to Hiromi, this is to you. Thank you. I look forward to many more fantastic talks. And yes, to echo Joe Schmo in the comments saying to support Drew's family during this time, there's a GoFundMe linked. You can find it in Joe Schmo's chat comment there, as well as at the very top of the description box. And Hita in here is saying Drew's chat community was like a global tight-knit family, and that is exactly it. That's it. And like Drew infected others with that as well. Drew infected this community, the Tokyo Lens community, with exactly that atmosphere. How many viewers have I met in person? How many meetups have we done? Globally. We've done meetups in Australia, we've done meetups in Toronto, we've done meetups in Amsterdam, we've done meetups in London, we've done meetups all over the place. Little meetup in Italy too. And all of that was because of people like Drew, who showed that having that little community is absolutely everything, and it's built what we have here. How many of you have been out to my studio? Like, so thank you for that. The sit, stop, and chat is not something that I typically do on Tokyo Lens Explore live streams. It's usually go, 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 keep going, but it feels like the appropriate thing to do right now for the man who used to do exactly this, for the man who's given so much to so many. And so I, a little while ago, got to share one of my favorite memories of Drew when he came and checked out my shamisen performance at Shamisen Kato, but that wasn't the only one. You see, one of the very first years that we hung out here at Sanja Matsuri, we actually met up kind of early in the day. And at that time, there was not as many tourists around, and Sanja Matsuri was a very big and aggressive festival, but there were these little like interesting points. Like for example, when it goes down Nakamise Dori, the main run that goes up to Sensoji Temple, the people used to actually stand behind their shop gates as the Mikoshi came through with the shutters down, holding up against the shutter so that it didn't break. And Drew and I were walking through there, and they were setting up all these boards along the side, and Drew was like, what are these boards for? And And I shared with him, I was like, because people press up against the shutter, so it's to protect the shutters so that people don't get there. He's like, how do you know that? I was like, well, I've been doing the festival for years, you hear stories. And he's like, what else? And that what else triggered an entire day of fun. So that what else turned into, okay, well, if we go over here, you can see this. Also, if we go over here, you can see this. Also, this used to be this way. Also, this area here, all the shop owners actually live directly above the shops. Nakamise Dori, these shops have been owned by the same family so many years. Oh, by the way, do you want to see the Yakuza area, which is kind of where we started our live stream? That's out this way. And it just turned into this adventure based on one simple question, what else? So, fantastic memories with a hometown bro. I tried to get to your studio when I was there, but you are not there or can't answer to see if I can or not. Yeah, I typically, especially the Patreon community, we've done a lot of studio meetups. We've done like live shamisen performances in the studio and everything like that. That's always been a good time. And moving forward, Max is going to be posting a lot more about that. But with that being said, this last little bit, we got about 1/3 of the can left. So, we still have our, this has just been in the back pocket of my pants for, what, half an hour? And yeah, James, Drew will be missed. But I'll also say that there's such a fantastic community of creative individuals here in Japan. And there's so many people to watch and connect with. So I want to read a comment here from Steven. And it says, I was privileged to meet Drew and have a sit-down coffee with him. He was so friendly and we chatted about things that would never appear on YouTube. Sad to see him go. And actually, that's one of the things that I loved about Drew the most. And I'm going to blow it wide open right now because Drew seemed like he was this incredibly public person, that he put everything out there. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He really did. He kept it real and he shared everything. But Drew still had this absolutely beautiful side to him which grabbed my heart and just really grabbed my respect. When you sat down with Drew, when you had a one-to-one with Drew, everything would kind of open up even more. There was this secret level that you would unlock of things that he would share and talk about and approaches that he would take that didn't make it to YouTube. So while he was keeping it very, very real on YouTube, he still had that very logical, emotional, smart section of himself that was sectioned off for when you know him. And it made it feel like he was this real, wonderful, beautiful person who, despite being able to open up so much on YouTube and share so much of himself and his personal life, still had more layers to him. There was still more to him beyond that. This beautiful, emotional, real person, and that's what I really like. So Steven, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Oh, just means the world. Have a drink to that. I want to scroll through. And Hatial, H-T-I-A-L. I was lucky. I almost dropped my beer. I was lucky to spend some time on stream with Drew. So a lot of Drew's community have seen my face. No way, that is fantastic. I'm kind of loving reading through all these comments. If anybody has like a favorite Drew memory, please share it now. Daniel Nuka saying, I was so happy to finally meet with Drew just after Christmas. It was good to chat with him. Oh, no way. About chemo and compare my mom's chemo medicine. We've been talking for ages about meeting. We finally did. Oh. Whether it be in stream, in person, whatever it is, if you have a favorite Drew memory, please, any memory with Drew, a funny moment, something crazy that happened, something like, oh, I didn't expect that, or this day really stuck in my memory. My request right here is that leave it in the chat, but also please, please, please leave it in the comments when the live stream wraps up too. Any memory you have with Drew, anything. It could be like, he had food on his face this day, or I watched him help an old lady across the road. I don't know. I don't think he held old lady across the road. Well, please. I kind of had like a slower chat mode on today, so everything comes in at a bit of a delay for me. So I say this stuff and then I've got to like vamp for a minute or two until the comments actually come in. So type quickly. Wow, we're blowing through that beer. That 9 a.m. beer. And Alexandra says, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you for organizing the live stream. Alexandra, it is everyone's loss. I remember the time he tried heated tobacco sticks and stuck his finger in the heated part of that device. What a guy. What a Drew thing to do. You know, as I wait for some of these to come in, and maybe, you know, Drew just kept it simple, so there might not be a ton of high impact memories, but one thing that I would like for everyone to do is I want to keep on that atmosphere, that community that Drew worked so hard to build. And so I have 2 requests for you guys today. Number 1, if you can support the family at all, there's a GoFundMe. And number 2, over the next couple of days and weeks, find some smaller creators. Some people who maybe only have a couple thousand, 10, 15, 20 people who have only been doing it 2, 3, 4 years. Some people at Sanja, some people who stream on the weekends. Find some people who you feel deserve the love and attention that Drew built in his community, and go support them. But do me a favor, don't tell them you came from here. Tell them that you're there to carry on Drew's tradition, Drew's community. Find a few small creators who stream that you love watching, and tell them that you are there to carry on Drew's community. Fill their chat with positivity. Fill their community with love. The trolls, the haters, be the positive thing that wins out. Connect with other viewers. Build friendships. Carry on that legacy. And keep it real. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to Drew. You'll be never forgotten. And we'll see you again real soon. Leave some words for me, for Drew, or for Drew's family, in the comments when this wraps up. Real soon, guys. Thank you. You know, I wouldn't be doing Drew's memory properly if I didn't do a fake ending in the true Tokyo Lens style. And so I had to do notification that my email password no longer works. But you know, if we're gonna do this the true Drew way, then I've gotta say absolutely for sure that